Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. Coming up in the next hour, Mauritius confers its highest civilian award on India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi. He is the first Indian leader to receive this honour. The US and Ukraine hold crunch talks at Jeddah in Saudi Arabia to repair their ties and find a path towards ending the 3-year-old conflict with Russia. More than 30 nations meet in Paris for talks on a security force for Ukraine. Trump envoy plans Moscow visit this week to meet Russia's president. Greenland votes in key parliamentary election as US President Donald Trump seeks to control of this strategic Arctic island. All 31 seats up for grabs. And armed militants hijack a train in Balochistan, take 450 passengers, including Pakistani military personnel, hostage. India and Mauritius, two nations bound by history, culture and deep-rooted ties, ushered in a new era of friendship as Prime Minister Narendra Modi landed in Port Louis. A grand ceremonial welcome, cultural performances and high-level meetings marked this significant visit. Akshay Dongre and Tripti Tripathi report.
Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi touched down at Port Louis to a grand reception received personally by his Mauritian counterpart, Dr. Naveen Chandra Ramgulam. A ceremonial guard of honour was accorded to him. Adding to the celebratory spirit, over 200 dignitaries gathered at the airport, reflecting the deep-rooted bond between the two democracies. A special moment unfolded as the Indian diaspora welcomed PM Modi with the traditional Bihari Geet Gawai performance, a folk art that symbolizes the cultural heritage of Indian migrants in Mauritius. The visit continued to the historic Sivu Sagar Ramgulam Botanical Garden, where PM Modi and PM Ramgulam paid tribute to two towering leaders of Mauritius, Sivu Sagar Ramgulam and Anirudh Jagannath, for their immense contributions to the nation's progress. In a symbolic gesture, PM Modi planted a bale sapling under the Ek Ped Maa Ke Naam initiative, an effort to honour mothers by promoting environmental conservation. This marks yet another step in his global greening mission. At the State House, Prime Minister Modi met Mauritian President Dharambir Gokul, where the two leaders discussed ways to deepen bilateral ties. PM Modi gifted the holy Sangam water from Mahakumbh and Bihar's nutritious superfood makhana to the Mauritian president. A touch of Indian elegance was added with the traditional Banarasi sari gifted to the First Lady of Mauritius. PM Modi also visited the Ayurvedic garden, a testament to India-Mauritius collaboration in traditional medicine. This initiative strengthened ties in the field of holistic healing, reinforcing a shared commitment to preserving ancient knowledge. From cultural heritage to strategic partnerships, PM Modi's visit to Mauritius reaffirmed the deep-rooted connection between the two nations. With Akshay Dongre, Tripti Tripathi's report for DD India.
Prime Minister Modi also attended a community event where he addressed the Indian diaspora in Mauritius. Mauritius has bestowed its highest civilian honour, the Grand Commander of the Order of the Star and Key of the Indian Ocean, on Prime Minister Narendra Modi. With this, he becomes the first Indian leader to receive this prestigious award, joining a select group of just 5 global leaders, including Nelson Mandela. The Prime Minister also handed over the OCI card, or the Overseas Citizen of India, to Mauritian Prime Minister Naveen Ramgoolam and to his spouse Veena Ramgoolam, symbolizing a deep heritage and connect between the two nations.
Has awarded me this great honor. It is perhaps fitting that I should also announce to everybody here today that I've asked the President of the Republic to award to you, Sri Modi, the highest award that we have, Grand Commander of the Order of the Star. Grand Commander of the Order of the Star and Key of the Indian Ocean, very fitting for you, Prime Minister.
Prime Minister Modi says that whenever he comes to Mauritius, it feels like he is among his own. He dedicated the award bestowed on him to the hard-working Indian diaspora in Mauritius.
मॉरिशस के लोगों ने, यहाँ की सरकार ने, और जैसा अभी प्रधानमंत्री जी ने घोषित किया, मुझे अपना सर्वोच्च नागरिक सम्मान देने का फैसला लिया है। मैं आपके निर्णय को विनम्रता से स्वीकार करता हूं। ये भारत और मॉरिशस के ऐतिहासिक रिश्तों का सम्मान है। ये उन भारतीयों का सम्मान है जिन्होंने पीढ़ी दर पीढ़ी इस धरती की खूब सेवा की।
A Bihari tradition was part of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's reception in Mauritius. The Prime Minister was welcomed by traditional Geet Gawai performance. Geet Gawai is a traditional Bhojpuri musical ensemble that embodies the rich cultural heritage brought to Mauritius by women from the Bhojpuri belt of India. In recognition of its cultural significance, Geet Gawai was inscribed on UNESCO's representative list of the intangible cultural heritage of humanity in December of 2016. Addressing a community event, the Prime Minister also said that a lot of families from Mauritius were unable to attend the grand gathering of the Mahakumbh, and hence he has himself got the holy water from the 45-day-long gathering for the people of Mauritius.
मैं जानता हूं कि मॉरिशस के अनेक परिवार अभी-अभी महाकुंभ में भी होकर आए हैं, लेकिन मुझे ये भी पता है कि मॉरिशस के मेरे अनेक परिवारजन चाहते हुए भी एकता के इस महाकुंभ में नहीं आ पाए। मुझे आपकी भावनाओं का ध्यान है, इसलिए मैं आपके लिए पवित्र संगम का और महाकुंभ के उसी समय का पवित्र जल साथ लेकर आया हूं। इस पवित्र जल को कल यहां गंगा तालाब को अर्पित किया जाएगा।
Prime Minister Modi said that Mauritius is like a mini India and the bond between the two nations has been long-standing and one based on trusted partnership.
For us, Mauritius is family. This bond is deep and strong, rooted in history, heritage, and the human spirit. Mauritius is also a bridge connecting India to the wider global south. Whether it is investment or infrastructure, commerce or crisis response, India always stands with Mauritius. Indian companies have invested millions of dollars in Mauritius. We have partnered in building critical infrastructure projects for the people of Mauritius. It is boosting growth, creating jobs, and transforming industries.
Prime Minister Modi added that Mauritius is at the heart of India's Sagar vision. He said that when Mauritius faces a crisis, India is the first responder, and when the country prospers, it is the first to celebrate.
Mauritius, with large ocean territories, needs to secure its resources from illegal fishing, piracy and crimes. As a trusted and reliable friend, India works with Mauritius to protect your national interests and secure the Indian Ocean region.
All right, joining me from Port Louis is my colleague Akshay Dongre. Akshay, let me start by asking you to recap the day's engagements for us. Where all did the Prime Minister go? Who did he meet? And how did those talks go?
Well, the Prime Minister's schedule was in fact quite jam-packed. In fact, he reached Mauritius today morning at around 6 a.m. and soon after that, its engagement started. First was a community welcome that was given by the Indian diaspora here in Mauritius, and then after that, Prime Minister Narendra Modi went to the botanical garden and he planted a tree at the Sivsagar Ramgulam Botanical Garden, following which he also met the President of the country, and now we are at the venue where the community event was planned. In fact, before coming to his next events that are planned, let me go across to the people who were part of this Indian diaspora event that was held in Port Louis, the capital of Mauritius. Sir, you all were part of this community event. How was the experience like? What all did you like as far as Prime Minister's speech is concerned?
Yeah, actually, for us it's a great privilege and honor to have the Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji in Mauritius here, and also for today to have seen him live and listened to him at the Triano Convention Center here in Mauritius. For us, it's a great honor indeed. My name is Kailash Modi. I myself carry the name Modi, so it's a great honor that it's. I don't know in which words I can express myself, but
I'm sure your friends and your family members must be quite excited as well.
Yeah, actually very excited. Actually, my grandfather was from Gujarat before settling here in Mauritius. So for us, I myself, people used to call me Chota Modi.
Right.
So Chota Modi means the big boss. So,
Sir, what about you? How was your experience like?
Yeah, I am a doctor in Ayurveda, and for me today listening to Modi ji was very special because I was admiring his qualities of remembering his speech, and he never had missed any words. He remembered every point he had to mention, and I think he also spoke in different languages, so all the people in different communities can understand what he wants to say. And finally, the message which he's carrying from India for the whole world of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, the whole world is family. That's what he mentioned here, that Mauritius is like our family. And myself, I'm representing a global organization by Maharshi Mahesh Yogi, where we are getting this Vedic knowledge from Ved Bhumi Bharat to the whole East African countries.
And you think that was further, reiterated by the Prime Minister as well?
And that's what is Prime Minister Modi ji's vision, that all our Vedic knowledge, it's like our soft power from India, and this is what is the heritage we want to share with all the people of the world, so that they live in harmony and make world a peaceful place again.
Perhaps that's also the cultural connect between the two countries. So that is what the people who attended the Indian diaspora event had to say as far as as the Bonjour Modi event is concerned, which was attended by thousands of people who gathered from all across Mauritius and attended the event, heard the speech of the Prime Minister, and that was in fact quite moving for a lot of people who were part of the audience. In fact, coming back to the question about Prime Minister's engagements, PM now will be hosted by the Prime Minister of Mauritius, and where both the leaders will have dinner and have bilateral engagement as well. And then tomorrow we will also have further engagements of the Prime Minister, which will include him being the chief guest of the National Day of Mauritius as well.
All right, we'll leave it there, Akshay. Thank you. Appreciate it. And still to come on DD India News Hour. Ukraine attacks Russia's capital Moscow with drones, kills 3. And Kurdish militia sign a peace deal with the interim government of Syria. And former Philippines President Rodrigo Duterte arrested on international warrant.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. An important moment in the Russia-Ukraine war as top US and Ukrainian officials engaged in talks in Saudi Arabia. With hopes for a ceasefire and renewed military support for Ukraine, the stakes remain high. But on the ground, tensions escalate with major Ukrainian drone strikes on Moscow and fierce battles in Kursk. Will diplomacy prevail or will the conflict intensify? DD India's Mihir Maikuri has more.
Will the ongoing diplomatic engagements in Riyadh mark the end of hostility between Russia and Ukraine? Will Zelensky be able to get back Ukraine's captured territories from Russia, or will Putin integrate parts of Ukraine with Russia? Tuesday marked a pivotal moment in the ongoing conflict between Russia and Ukraine as top US and Ukrainian officials held talks in Saudi Arabia, aiming to chart a path toward ending the war with Russia. The summit took place just days after the explosive Trump-Zelensky meeting at the White House, raising hopes for a breakthrough.
You didn't have our military equipment.
At the talks, US Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Ukraine's foreign minister were present. Ukraine is hoping its proposed partial ceasefire offer will convince Washington to resume military aid, intelligence sharing, and satellite imagery support, which was suspended following the fallout from the Trump-Zelensky clash. President Zelensky, who met Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman on Tuesday, is optimistic that the Jeddah summit will help revive pragmatic ties with the US. He has suggested a potential initial truce with Russia, particularly focused on the air and maritime zones. Meanwhile, Kiev is ramping up its efforts to pressure Russia into agreeing to an air ceasefire. On Tuesday, Ukrainian forces launched their largest drone strike to date on Moscow, deploying at around 91 drones. The attack killed at least 3 people, sparked fires, shut down airports, and diverted dozens of flights. Moscow reported downing 337 drones across various locations in Russia.
The largest drone attack in history was carried out on Moscow and the Moscow region. The drone raid, all night and into the morning, including strikes on the Degilevo airfield and beyond, is an additional signal to Putin that the ceasefire from the air is something he should be interested in. Not only at the refineries, but drones can fly around Moscow on a regular basis.
On the battlefield, Ukraine's forces are under increasing pressure, particularly in the Russia's Kursk region. Moscow's forces claim to have retaken a dozen settlements in western Kursk and saw the Russian chief of staff visit the area to boost morale among the troops. This is part of Russia's renewed push to flush out Kiev's forces, who had been holding strategic ground as a potential bargaining chip. As the talks in Jeddah unfold, the question remains, how significant will this meeting be in the broader pursuit of peace? Only time will tell. Mihir Makuri's report for DD India.
Meanwhile, military chiefs from many European and NATO countries gathered in Paris on Tuesday to create an international security force for Ukraine. The move comes as US President Donald Trump upends the transatlantic alliance and seeks rapprochement with Russia. The Paris talks centered on the necessary rearmament of Europe and military support for Ukraine. The Dutch defense minister called for the removal of European and national legislations that restrict military growth.
The States has made it clear that its support for Ukraine is no longer a given. And Europe's decades-long reliance on the US cannot simply be taken for granted anymore. Instead, it must be earned. Europe, therefore, needs to fortify its security architecture. And we don't have much time to get this right. We only have one shot. And to be able to reinforce our resilience and to grow our militaries, to have civilians and military work side by side, and to be able to speed up our processes, we should take away any legislations that are standing in our way. Legislations that are currently standing in the way of growing our military.
At least 3 people were killed in Moscow's southern suburbs after Ukraine struck Russia's capital with the largest drone attack on Monday. Moscow repelled the attack. It claimed to have shot down 337 drones. As many as 91 drones were intercepted near the capital city. Another 126 were downed in the Kursk region near Russia's border with Ukraine. The attack came hours before a high-level meeting between US and Ukrainian officials in Saudi Arabia, where discussions are expected to focus on the ongoing conflict. In historic development, Syria's Kurdish-led Syrian Democratic Forces agreed to integrate into the country's state institutions under a deal signed with interim President Ahmed al-Shara. The agreement marks a major step towards uniting the war-torn nation after more than a decade of conflict. Celebrations broke out in the cities of Damascus and Qamishli as citizens welcomed the accord. Here's more on the story.
Celebrations erupted in Syria's capital Damascus and the northeastern city of Qamishli after Kurdish-led Syrian Democratic Forces, or the SDF, signed an agreement with the interim government to integrate into Syria's state institutions. Crowds filled the streets, chanting slogans of unity as the deal marked a major step towards stabilizing the war-torn country.
The people needed an agreement like this. The world is tired of displacement and war. So we are happy with the agreement because it will bring peace to a new democratic Syria.
The agreement signed by interim President Ahmed al-Shara and SDF commander Mazloum Abdi formally ends years of Kurdish self-administration in the northeast. Under the accord, all civilian and military institutions in SDF-held areas will come under the Syrian state, restoring government control over key border crossings, airports, and vital oil and gas fields. The deal is part of Shara's broader effort to unify the country following the overthrow of former President Bashar al-Assad in December. Since taking power, Syria's new administration has faced challenges from pro-Assad loyalists and also...
Let's take you to Mauritius for the latest on the Prime Minister's ongoing visit to that country. These are the latest visuals we are getting to you from Mauritius, where the Prime Minister is interacting with his host. his Mauritian counterpart. If you're just tuning in, we are getting you some more latest information and visuals from Mauritius as part of the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi's ongoing visit to that country. These are the latest visuals coming to you from Port Louis, where the Prime Minister is seen interacting with his host, the Mauritian Prime Minister. Remember, just hours ago, Mauritius decided to confer its highest civilian award on Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and he becomes the first Indian leader to receive this honor, and only one of 5 world leaders to be awarded Mauritius's highest civilian award. Just to bring our viewers up to speed with the latest from Mauritius, the 2 principals, the Prime Ministers of India and Mauritius, seen interacting before their banquet in Port Louis, where the 2 leaders are exchanging gifts and mementos. Remember, it is day 1 of the Indian Prime Minister's 2-day visit to Mauritius, and he has just been bestowed Mauritius's highest civilian award, making him the first Indian leader to be given this honor. Mauritius and India enjoy a long civilizational links and a trusted partnership, making them friendly neighbors and also key players in the wider Indian Ocean region in terms of trade, investment, maritime security and people-to-people linkages. India and Mauritius have made strides in recent years, especially in the last decade and more under Prime Minister Narendra Modi of India. And still to come on DD India News Hour, an expert take on India's ties with Mauritius.
जल्दी करो यार, प्लीज जल्दी।
दूसरा कोई मैच है क्या?
ऐसा ही कुछ है यार, बैंक जाना है दादाजी को लेके।
हाँ यार, उम्र होने पर कभी कभी मदद तो लगती है,
पर बैंकिंग में नहीं।
वैसे भी आरबीआई कहता है सीनियर सिटीजन सबसे पहले। अगर आप 70 साल से ऊपर हैं और आप बैंक नहीं जा सकते तो बैंक आएगा आपके पास जरूरी सेवाएं लेकर, वो भी वाजिब दरों पर।
सीनियर सबसे पहले। आरबीआई कहता है जानकार बनिए, सतर्क रहिए।
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. A quick recap of the headlines. But before that, joining us is Mr. Manjeet Puri. Mr. Puri is a former Indian ambassador to Nepal, the European Union, Belgium and Luxembourg, and a former deputy permanent representative to the United Nations in New York. Ambassador Puri, welcome to DD India News Hour. Now, straight off the bat, Ambassador, would you like to give our viewers an overview of India-Mauritius ties in terms of its history, politics and the diaspora?
Ramesh, thank you very much.
Welcome.
I think that's particularly important as to why these visits happen and the importance. Look, first and foremost, let's understand that Mauritius is a country where the majority of the population is of Indian descent.
Right.
That gives us a very special civilizational bond. Secondly, we have been involved with Mauritius from its get-go, as they say, from its independence. We were also there as a country which encouraged Mauritius to become an independent country. And then let me become much more strategic. Mauritius sits in the southern Indian Ocean in a point which is extremely important for us, for our security, we for their security, and the security of the entire region of the Western Indian Ocean. Therefore, there are so many reasons for this. Secondly, let me say something else. I said about civilizational links. We've had equally good links between governments, all governments. Please recall, when Prime Minister Modi was first sworn in 2014, leaders from the SAARC countries were invited, but also the Prime Minister of Mauritius. It has always been our effort to include Mauritius among the countries which are friendly to us, with whom we have very special relations. So it's a special relation in terms of people, in terms of polity, in terms of our economics, but also in strategic terms. All in all, extremely important, and a relationship which has always been nurtured by us, and it has been nurtured and valued by the Mauritians. And I'm very happy that they've decided to confer on the Honorable Prime Minister their highest civilian award, a fitting recognition of the very close ties, not just civilizational, but ties in economy, politics, as well as strategic relations which bind the two countries, India and Mauritius.
Indeed. I want to dwell a bit more, if you will, Ambassador, on the last bit, the strategic dimension to the India-Mauritius relationship. Why Mauritius matters? I mean, what makes Mauritius's location so strategic? And what's in it for both countries when you talk about the Indian Ocean security as a region as a whole?
So, Ramesh, that's a very important question. Mauritius is a small country, but it's an island which is very strategically located. It's somewhere in the middle of the Western Indian Ocean between India and Africa. It is right where the Cape of Good Hope, you turn around from that side and you start coming this side. There are various reasons for us to take this to be extremely important. There is the entire issue of guarding the entire Western Indian Ocean in terms of our security, security of our near neighbors, the African countries, as well as the Arabian countries. And then let's also be clear, countries which are not particularly friendly to us and have hinting at a country to our north, the Chinese, have also been making forays in this region. And our relationship with Mauritius is particularly important to keep an eye on what is happening there, because this is an area which is relatively contiguous to us. We are neighbors across the seas, and we have an abiding interest for our own reasons as well as for the security of the Mauritians and the entire region. And I'm not referring to Diego Garcia, the big base, and so on and so forth. Those are global strategic interests in which we also have an interest, an area which has been used very effectively in terms of combating terrorism, combating all kinds of things which have happened in Afghanistan and other parts of the Middle East. Extremely important for geopolitical stability in our region, and I dare say for us too, very important.
Ambassador Puri, from India's perspective, there are three distinct policies that have immense value for Mauritius. One, India's neighborhood first policy. Two, Sagar, or security and growth for all in the region. And last but not the least, the Indo-Pacific Oceans Initiative. Now, what's in it for Mauritius? Would you subscribe to this view that Mauritius is at the heart of all these three key Indian policies?
Yeah, absolutely. I mentioned to you that Mauritius and we share a very close political relationship. Neighborhood first obviously goes hand in hand. We are neighbors across the seas. We are countries which share civilizational links. Look at every single thing. There was a time when a Bollywood film wanted to do a shoot overseas, it went to Mauritius. Look at the Mauritians. They want to study abroad, they come to India. Look at the relationship with the people. They trace their links to everywhere in India. So without any doubt, the fact that Mauritius is located in the Indian Ocean, the western part of the Indian Ocean, obviously both the other two major initiatives of ours, which deal with the Indian Ocean. One, which is an expansion of the old Indian Ocean Rim initiative. The other one, Sagar, which is our maritime dominance, the entire India idea of being aware of what is happening in your maritime sphere. Each of these is important. We obviously have an interest, but let me turn around and mention to you about Mauritius. Mauritius is a small country. I think, Ramesh, not many of your viewers here, etc., would recall that, Mauritius being a small country, there are a number of vulnerabilities. many years back, decades back, an Air India aircraft was hijacked by South African mercenaries and taken to Mauritius. So there are many such things which have happened. It's a country which has to be very mindful of its security, and having a friendly country, being a partner, particularly, and which is easily accessible, which is very much there, and as a very friendly country with relations with people in Mauritius, it is a country of natural interest to the Mauritius, which is why our relationships all throughout, always, no matter who has been in leadership in which of the countries, the relationships have always progressed, gone forward, and we've taken advantage of things together. But we accept and we really welcome the fact that we are partners, if I dare say. We are also countries linked with this huge civilizational links. I don't know what is the right word to say. You know, we are brothers in the common good for humanity, but we also share concerns of security, and both sides complement each other.
And talking about links, Ambassador Puri, would you say that Mauritius, by virtue of its location and membership of the African Union, is an integral part of India's outreach to the wider African continent as well?
Absolutely. Look, Mauritius is an African country. It's a member of the African Union. It's an important member of the African Union. It's also relatively well off. All this is important. So it's not just our outreach to them. So it's our outreach through Mauritius also to African countries. It's the country from where, let me say, reach out to countries, especially in the eastern part of Africa, is relatively easy. You have South Africa on the other side. You have Mozambique, which is a country with which we have very important economic links, which is very much there. So you're absolutely right. All of these particular things, there are strategic links, geopolitical links, regional links, the issue of the ocean, common security perceptions, each and every one of these, we complement each other and we work together with each other because we see vested interests of both sides being served by this and the common good of humanity.
Indeed. I want to touch upon another issue which has been in the news lately, Ambassador Puri, and that is the issue of the Chagos Islands and the Diego Garcia base of the Americans, but held by the Brits. Now, the Mauritians and the British leaders have agreed to hand over sovereignty back to Mauritius of the Chagos Islands and Diego Garcia in particular. Does India have any particular issues or a standpoint or a view of the developments concerning these islands?
Ramesh, I mentioned to you that, I deliberately left that out because of this particular factor which you just mentioned. Look, this used to be, the Chagos Islands used to be run by the same Governor General who used to run the Port Louis, Mauritius, etc. on behalf of the British Crown. They are therefore integrally part of it. Now, what happened when Mauritius got its independence? These islands were in a sense kept out, and this base was developed earlier, a British base, which when they didn't have the capacities to do it, moved on to a United States base, and has been a very important base. If I'm not wrong, P-52s, their heavy strategic bombers have been based there. I mentioned to you action in Afghanistan taken from that. Lots of other actions in the Middle East have happened using this base. So certainly very important for them. But it's also a base, let me say this quite clearly to everyone, which also keeps an eye on the Western Indian Ocean. An eye which is not for a country like India, which is a friendly member, a member of Quad, etc. But eye open for the incursions or movements, etc., of what is happening by the others. Then let's be very clear. The Chinese movements in this particular area, they are of concern to everyone. What exactly is going on? So, but the Mauritians have had a desire that these islands should come back to them. This artificial division of keeping them out was not right. And so the British have now agreed that sovereignty will vest with them. I'm told there's a long-term agreement about a kind of lease of the base to the British and the Americans. I am sure quietly, but otherwise, we have played our own role to say, look, respect has to be there for Mauritius and its sovereign integrity, its territorial integrity. That is particularly important. Mauritius also itself realizes what is the uses of this base, who can make use of them. But the idea of territorial sovereignty is important in itself. And I'm glad that Mauritian and Mauritian people, their sentiments, etc., are coming back. It's not just a question of the islands were not inhabited by anybody but are very few people. That's not the idea. It was your territory. And so therefore, even if the sovereignty at the moment is nominal, it's important that the sovereignty rests.
Ambassador Puri, pleasure as always to talk to you. Thank you for your time. Much appreciated.
Thank you. Thank you, Ramesh.
Right, moving on. Now take a look at what else is making news in India. The Election Commission of India has invited suggestions from all national and state political parties regarding any unresolved issues in the electoral process. The parties have been asked to submit their inputs by the 30th of April to allow the ECI to address concerns and enhance the transparency and efficiency of the country's electoral system. The Chief Minister of the Indian state of Bihar, Nitish Kumar, has launched the third tunnel boring machine for the Patna Metro Rail project, marking a significant step forward in the development of the city's urban transport network. The newly deployed machine will accelerate the work on the second corridor of the metro project, connecting Patna Junction with Patliputra ISBT. In a major step towards enhancing India's logistics infrastructure, a memorandum of understanding was signed between the National Highways Logistics Management Limited and the Inland Waterways Authority of India on Tuesday. The agreement is aimed at developing a state-of-the-art multimodal logistics park at Varanasi in the northern Indian state of Uttar Pradesh. In a major escalation of conflict in Balochistan, separatists attacked a Peshawar-bound train on Tuesday, taking nearly 450 passengers hostage. The attack was immediately claimed by the Baloch Liberation Army, which is fighting for independence and accuses outsiders of profiting from the region's wealth. The militants wounded the driver and took control of the train in a remote mountainous region of Balochistan, which borders Afghanistan and Iran. According to a senior railway government official in Quetta, more than 450 passengers on board are being held hostage. At least 6 military personnel are dead. Reports suggest that intense firing is going on at the Jafar Express train. And still to come on DD India News Hour. US Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard to visit India soon. And Asian stocks slump amid US recession fears.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
3rd February baby girl, 4th February one baby boy, 5th February 2 baby girls. Congratulations! This list keeps growing each day. Kajal? Yes ma'am. Reema? Yes ma'am. Seema? Yes ma'am. Devi? Even this list is seeing more and more girls being added.
Emma?
Yes sir.
Smriti?
Yes sir.
Shalini?
Yes sir.
Everyone step forward.
This list too is getting longer. These long lists are bringing us closer to Viksit Bharat.
21वीं सदी की नारी शक्ति विकसित भारत का बहुत बड़ा आधार है.
Celebrating the contribution of daughters in the nation's progress. 8th March, best wishes for International Women's Day. What is...
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. US Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard plans to visit India soon. She said on X that she is wheels up on a multi-nation trip to the Indo-Pacific, a region she knows very well, having grown up as a child of the Pacific. She said that she'll be going to Japan, Thailand and India with a brief stop in France en route back to Washington, D.C. Gabbard said that her first stop was in Honolulu. She called building strong relationships, understanding and open lines of communication vital to achieving U.S. President Donald Trump's objectives of peace, freedom and prosperity. This is the first visit by a top White House official to India under the Trump government. A visit to India follows Prime Minister Modi's visit to the U.S. in February. During his visit, the Prime Minister met with Tulsi Gabbard and called her a strong votary of the India-US friendship. Gabbard, in turn, called it an honor to welcome Prime Minister Modi. She said she looks forward to continuing strengthening the US-India friendship. To business news now, Asian markets plunged on Tuesday as fears of a trade war triggering a US recession fueled global sell-off. Investors scrambled for safe haven assets such as the Japanese yen, while stocks across Japan, Taiwan and China tumbled. Japan's Nikkei and Taiwan's benchmark index both slid 3%, reaching their lowest levels since September of 2024. Even China's strong performing blue chip index dropped 0.5%, while Hong Kong's Hang Seng fell 0.8%. The sell-off follows Wall Street's sharp decline on Monday, where the S&P 500 saw its biggest one-day drop this year, losing 2.7%, while the Nasdaq suffered a 4% plunge, its worst since 2022. Fears of an economic downturn have already erased $4 trillion from the S&P 500's peak last month, deepening concerns over global financial stability. The Federation of Indian Export Organizations launched the She Trades India Hub in collaboration with the International Trade Centre in New Delhi on Tuesday. Funded by the UK government's Commonwealth Plus program, it is the 20th She Trades Hub for women entrepreneurs globally. DD India's Tanvi Taneja reports that the hub has great potential to expand women's opportunities in global trade.
Former UK Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher once said, "If you want something said, ask a man. If you want something done, ask a woman." This was the idea that reverberated at the launch of the She Trades India Hub, a significant initiative aimed at empowering women entrepreneurs. The Federation of Indian Export Organizations, FIO, launched the She Trades India Hub in collaboration with the International Trade Centre, ITC, in New Delhi.
The She Trades Hub has been around for about 10 years, and we have 19 other hubs around the world. This will be the 20th hub, and we're launching one in Sri Lanka in 2 days, and that will be the 21st. India is one of the largest, if not the largest, single democracy in the world, and also one of the most dynamic when it comes to women's entrepreneurship. And so we wanted to take advantage of this opportunity to be in a space where women have been so empowered, are continuing to be empowered, and as part of the policy for the government, to look at how we can make women's vitality and economic engagement part of the future for India.
I mean, it's really exciting to be here today at the launch of the She Trades Hub in India. This is the 20th hub that's opened globally, and it is designed specifically to support young women entrepreneurs scale their business and give them practical advice, mentorship, guidance and support as they seek to start exporting and to grow their export business.
Funded by the UK government's She Trades Commonwealth Plus program, She Trades India Hub would provide Indian women entrepreneurs with the tools and networks necessary to thrive in international markets.
One of the things which is going to be extremely important is availability of mentorship and guidance under this particular initiative. This mentorship will not only be to guide them on how to start export, how to explore markets, how to participate in events, but also to connect them at the back end with many of the building blocks which are required. For example, access to trade financing system, access to factoring services, access to insurance services when they are exporting. We will look forward to FIO onboarding more than 3 lakh women entrepreneurs in the short run. That is 300,000 women entrepreneurs.
But why she trades? Because advancing gender equality could inject as much as $13 trillion to the global GDP by 2030.
Gender equality is the unfinished business of our time. And it's a particular pleasure to be here for this launch of the She Trades India Hub, because this is not just about trade, of course, but this is about transformation.
With the launch of She Trades India Hub, the community of women entrepreneurs globally just gets bigger and better because investing in women delivers. Tanvi Taneja for DD India.
To sports news now. After a year of controversy, the Wrestling Federation of India is officially back. The Sports Ministry has revoked the Federation's suspension, ensuring that India's wrestlers can compete internationally without disruption. In December 2023, governance failures led to the ministry's intervention, placing the federation under the ad hoc committee. The International Olympic Committee and the United World Wrestling demanded reforms, ensuring fair selection and athlete safety. The WFI complied with governance reforms, including forming an athletes commission with voting rights and establishing an ethics commission and internal complaints committee for athlete safety. The Federation has 4 weeks to restore proper governance, ensuring fair trials and independent decision-making. Failure to comply could lead to another suspension. The India Sports Minister Mansukh Mandavia has said that as per High Court order, the ministry decided to lift these sanctions so that the country's wrestlers can participate in the Asian and World Championships. This also gives justice, looking at the future of India's wrestlers. The World Para Athletics Grand Prix 2025 kicked off at the Jawaharlal Nehru Stadium in New Delhi on Tuesday. The opening ceremony witnessed an enthusiastic turnout, with the event being open to all and drawing applause from athletes, dignitaries and spectators alike. India's Sports Secretary Sujata Chaturvedi inaugurated the event. India's Vice Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General NSR Subramani, Paralympic Committee of India's President Devendra Jhajaria and Asian Paralympic Committee President Majid Rashid were present. Adding to the grandeur of the ceremony were spectacular cultural performances by the Indian Army, showcasing the traditional kukri dance and Kalari Payattu. The New Delhi Grand Prix 2025 will witness over 90 competitions across 3 action-packed days, with participation from top para-athletes representing 20 countries, making it one of the most anticipated events on the global para-athletics calendar.
There is a long journey ahead of trying to host many big events, culminating in the Summer Olympics that we want to host in 2036, as you are aware. So all this helps us to gain experience, and our athletes get exposure, which is very necessary for them to succeed.
The committee, we are thanking all the efforts here from the government, from everyone around, to make this dream come true. Hosting the first Grand Prix for the athletics is very important for a great nation like India. And I think it's going to open the wide door for the new athletes from the new generation.
The Symphony of India Challenge, part of the World Audiovisual and Entertainment Summit, or WAVES, is showcasing India's finest musical talent. From 212 initial registrations, 80 exceptional classical and folk artists had advanced to the gala round. WAVES is set to take place from 1st to 4th May in Mumbai, aims to connect India's media and entertainment sectors with the global industry. The challenge is being produced by Doordarshan in coordination with Mahavir Jain Films and directed by the veteran show director Shruti Anandita Verma. The challenge blends tradition with innovation, offering a platform to elevate Indian music on the world stage. And that's all for this edition of DD India News Hour. Let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can get the latest news and updates on the DD India mobile app. It's available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code now on your screen to download it. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran from all of us here in New Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour.